I'm here to say that the three biggest issues facing Europe and the wider Western world are immigration, immigration, and immigration. Now, Australia is an immigrant country. Immigration can be very good and it can be very bad. I support, as a libertarian, I support the economic policies of Javier Milei in Argentina. The 1980s had the great Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. I believe the 2020s will be remembered as the decade of Trump and Javier Milei. Now, high taxes and high regulations are bad, but they can be reversed. Bad immigration is very, very difficult to reverse without a very unpleasant upheaval. Now, it's very simple to decide what's good immigration and bad immigration. If we bring in a migrant that is either hard-working or an entrepreneur, we'll have as many as we can get. If, however, we bring in migrants that have a statistically high rate of crime and welfare dependency, we consider them not a good migrant. Now, Australia, I believe, we're here from Australia to tell you that we believe that we have done something very good on immigration, and I want to walk you through that. But firstly, Australia considers itself the lucky country. We have so many macro factors in our favour. We've got a population of 27 million, and we've got a whole continent to ourselves. And we've had stability. We've never had a war on our soil. Now, the Imperial Japan bombed us a few times in World War II, but wasn't a particularly big. There was no troops. Now, when I was born in the 1970s, Australia was scared of Asia. It was considered a threat to Australia because there was one revolution and upheaval, usually the communists, across Asia, one after another. They didn't end. But today, Asia, thanks to the leadership of the West, they have followed Western success. Asia's now awash with booming stock markets, a rising middle class, and it's largely peaceful and stable. And that is fantastic for Australia. We've got so many resources to sell them, and we've got lots of free trade agreements, which is all good. And Australia in the 20th century had the world's best performing stock market. Now, there are the good things about Australia. There have been some bad things about Australia recently. We went completely insane over COVID, and I'm very proud to say that my little party was at the forefront of resisting that. We have a very authoritarian government when it comes to censorship, and it's getting worse and worse. We're completely mad, like a lot of English-speaking countries, on all the woke stuff. And both of our major parties are fully captured by global warming. Now, as a little aside, I don't call global warming. I don't call it climate change either. That's what they want us to call it. The UN Secretary General, no less, 2 years ago, called global warming global boiling. Now, it's so absurd. He hasn't repeated it since, but he hasn't retracted it. So I call it global boiling. And Australia's completely insane on this. However, Europe, the US and the UK can learn an extremely valuable lesson about the most important issue, immigration. Now, Australia has been in a particularly generous country when it comes to migrants. And in the 1970s, we had a lot of boat people arrive from South Vietnam. Now, who were the South Vietnamese? They were our allies resisting communism. We let them in. And they've been, by and large, extremely good migrants. They are very patriotic and they work very hard, and their kids become professionals. However, in the 1990s, we started receiving a lot more boat people from other parts of the world, and they started coming in onto our northern coastline. Now, at first glance, initially I thought, well, these people have got a fair bit of initiative. I thought these people might be good migrants. However, the crime rates and the welfare dependency was extremely high. The drownings were very, very high. And Milton Friedman taught us that, look, you can't have open borders if you've got a welfare system. So what happened in 2001? We had a reasonably good Prime Minister, and do you know what he did to stop the boat people? He militarised the border. And he got the Royal Australian Navy out there. Yes, thank you. And now at the time, it was very controversial. And the Labor Party, the left-wing party of government, was very critical of it. And the left-wing commentators in the newspapers were very critical of it. So when the Labor Party came to power in 2007, after we hadn't had boat people for 6 years, in 2007, a very silly Prime Minister called Kevin Rudd said, oh, well, we're the humane people, we're the humane government, we're going to reverse all that, we're not going to militarise our border. Gee, surprise, surprise, we get absolutely flooded like never before from people coming from Iran and Iraq and everywhere else, and it was out of control for 6 years. And the public were very upset, and this is that party lost government in 2013 principally because of that issue. And then we had another Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, and he remilitarised the border, and he said, look, if a boat comes anywhere near Australia, we're not going to interview them, we're not going to do nothing, we're just going to turn them back. And now that has worked beautifully, because the people smugglers now think, what's the point? There is no point. Even today, we would now have 2 or 3 boats a year. And immediately they go back. And guess what? The Labor Party and the left-wing commentators now say they agree with it. And in fact, the left-wing party came to power in 2022, just a couple of years ago, and they said 100% we're going to stick with our militarised border. So that has been a success. Now, Donald Trump is a great man of history. He, the shooting, the court cases, the demonisation, it's an extraordinary story. It is the stuff of legend. But I truly believe that when Trump got into the race in 2015, it was a very congested field, and there was all these senators and governors and everybody else. But Trump gets in late, and he immediately hit the lead in the polls. And usually in these Republican primaries, the lead, it's like a roller coaster. They come and go. Trump hit the lead, and I believe it was principally because he said, build the wall. And now after Mitt Romney had lost in 2012, all the geniuses in the Republican establishment said, oh my God, we can't win without getting the Latinos on side. And they foolishly thought American Latinos wanted more illegal immigrants. Well, now, but you want to win the Latino vote? Trump just won it, okay, because he's tough on the border. So I would say Trump is militarising the border. I saw a video yesterday where he sent 10,000 Marines down there in helicopters. God bless him for that. So I encourage our dear friends in Europe. Australians have a lot of affection and love for Europe. I would urge you to follow the lead of Australia and now Donald Trump. Muscle up and militarise your borders in the Aegean Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the English Channel. It needs to be done.
And the Black Sea, sir.
And the Black Sea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, absolutely.
If we can't pussyfoot around, okay? And so no boats get through in Australia. It's possible. And I know the gentleman that spoke before us from Italy. Yes, that's where it's coming from. Okay. What better purpose is there for the Navy than to do this job? Thank you very much.